welcome to The Upgrade. Once again, this week we have a special guest that's coming up shortly. My name is Gary Muttley, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host,
Len Carmichael, Landmine Studios, random other shit you might have seen me doing.
Some above ground, some not so much.
Yeah, some stuff we don't want to talk about, some stuff we do want to talk about, yes. But we'll get to all of that later.
Well, before we get into anything else, this is the first episode that we are actually recording now that we are live on all those wonderful podcast services. And I just wanted to mention that we're getting a lot of good feedback, and we want to thank all of you guys for your support and for checking us out and for continuing to listen and deal with our rants about politics and all that kind of stuff, because that is not what we are doing this week.
Thank God. I can't take it anymore. No more.
Yeah, this will be, we may touch on it just a tiny bit, but we have made a point, and well, we've made a deal with ourselves and also with our guests that we're not going to dwell on this shit, because we can't have another week of Lewis Black level rage. Because it's just not good for our health at this point. There's so much stupid shit.
I've spewed enough F-bombs in the past week since I talked to you last, well, on the show, to last me a lifetime. If I go any further into this, I'm just gonna need the padded cell. I'm good.
I'm scared of what's gonna happen in the next couple of weeks, but at this point, short of Godzilla coming out of the ocean, I really just can't.
Yo, did you see that?
Nothing is going to surprise me at this point.
Did you see that that they found the bubonic plague again, back from nowhere? Like, come on, how much worse could this get?
Yeah, anywhere else it would be like panic, but at this point, with all the shit that we've seen, like I saw some CNN article that listed all of the crazy shit that happened since January 1st. And I'm just like, motherfucker.
It's like the worst year ever.
When are the aliens gonna show up and just blow shit up like Independence Day? Like, at this point, like,
I wouldn't be surprised.
No, I'm waiting for it. Like, any other time you'd run and panic. If they show up now, I'm gonna be like, it's about fucking time, guys.
Where the fuck you been? Where you been?
What took you so long? God damn it.
We've been waiting.
Anyway, so without further ado, we have a very special guest on who is a good friend of mine for many, many, many years. And he is the one and only Phil Vibes of the legendary Bronx band Irate, which is an inside joke in itself. Hi, Phil.
Hey, guys. What's up?
What's up, Phil?
Good to be
Long time
here.
no see.
Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you.
Thanks for coming on. We want to talk to you about a couple of different things, but in our tradition of not doing the traditional interview, I want to start off with something that's not music related at all, which is something that you're into, that I know you participate in a lot with my brother, which is going to horror conventions.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to hear more about this and about the collection that you got going on, because I know you've got a pretty sizable collection.
Yeah, I mean, our listeners can't see you because we're not going to have a video up on this, but I'm telling you right now, just from the little bit I can see in this video screen, I mean, we're talking Freddie, we got Jason, and a number of other, is that Leatherface I see back there over your shoulder? I mean, Leatherface is my man, so...
That's right.
You know.
And I got some great stories about all of them, and with the Leatherface specifically, the fiance and I and my son Jason had breakfast with him one time.
Okay.
At a convention, we kind of pay for this VIP experience, and Leatherface comes into the VIP room, and they told us, well, he's either gonna sit in front of the room or he's gonna pick a family to sit with. And he comes into the room, and sure enough, he comes up to us and says, hey, can I pull up a chair? And we're like, I'm just like starstruck. I'm like, fuck yeah, you could pull up a fucking chair. Like, are you kidding me? I've waited all my life to say what's up to you. So he sat down with us, and for 45 minutes, he he was just telling us about his life. He was just answering all my fanboy questions, all kinds of awesome stuff, and
that was Gunnar
crazy,
Hansen, right?
Gunnar Hansen, yes.
Okay.
And this was 2 months before he died.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's
you got it in just in time.
Yeah, that's the craziest part to me. Oh,
as you can see, like a lot of cool stuff signed by him and everything, and it was a wonderful experience, something I'll never forget ever. And he was just the sweetest guys. That's the thing about these horror conventions, like you see these guys with the brutal killing and everything like that, but when you meet them, they're like the sweetest people on earth. Like he was like a grandpa. It was like talking to my grandpa.
It's acting. Like
absolutely.
A lot of people don't take horror movie acting seriously because they just think of it as gore and they don't understand that
either gore or like cornball shit.
Right.
Like, especially if you're talking about like the classic 80s stuff. Like people just think it's like some goofy shit.
It takes so much to get into those headspaces to deliver those performances, and people just sleep on that so
right,
badly.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, but I never have. I mean, I've been into horror since I was probably 4 or 5 years old.
Okay.
And, you know, my mom gave me the freedom to watch whatever the hell I wanted when I was a kid, which I give her total props for. And so I just was seeing all kinds of chaos at an early age and just loving it, though. Like, I was never really scared. I don't know. It's just something I gravitated towards it and have been a fan ever since. And a few years ago, when my second band kind of stopped, the Judas Syndrome, I was just kind of here like, damn, what's next? What do I do? You know?
And you felt like...
I'm used to playing all the time. Like, what am I going to do with my weekends and shit like that? And a friend of mine just said, hey, have you ever gone to see, you know, one of these horror cons like Monster Mania? And I'm like, no. Where is that? And fuck yeah, I'd be down. And so he kind of told me about it. And when I saw the flyer for the next one and it had like so many people that I wanted to see, I was just like, fuck yes. And I went to it, and I am now probably close to 20 cons in. And I got Gary's brother to start coming with me, and that's our tradition now. Like every couple of months we go to them. This year has sucked because they've all been canceled due to the pandemic.
Right. And you're talking about the one that's in Philly or outside of Philly, like Camden, right? Yeah, I've been to that one probably 10 times in the last 15 years.
Wow. And Len, isn't it just the fucking best, man? I mean, it's like a big family. There's no drama. It's come as you are. All forms accepted here. We are family kind of shit. And it's just... outside of the music scene, this is the best group of people I've ever been part of.
I could agree with that. I mean, I've literally never had a problem at all for any reason going to
none of
those.
I've always heard about it from you guys, and I mean, I was into horror movies when I was younger, and I kind of fell out of it. Like I lost interest over the years. Like the classic 80s stuff is cool, but like I just got lost on it. But one of these days, I'm probably going to end up going with you guys to check it out just because of all the stories I hear. I'm not really an autograph guy.
Yeah, but it's beyond that. It's beyond that.
Yeah.
Like the panels.
Right.
Like, you know, going to the panels, asking these awesome questions and getting these bits of information that you would have never known about the making of these films. Specific parts, that's scenes.
That's more up my alley because when I used to go to like science fiction conventions, and I used to go to Comic-Con in New York before they just made it ridiculously impossible.
I tried Comic-Con one time, and I can't do it, man.
It's just too much of a money grab. It's too much of a money grab. But like when I went, I liked going to the panels.
Yeah.
And sitting in a lot of the panels, and that was more enjoyable to me. But then it's become such a money grab with New York Comic Con now that they have stuff off site, and like you got to leave Javits and go to Hammerstein or go to all these
Madison
other places.
Square Garden.
Yeah, and it's like you know, that takes you away from the main area, and it's like, why am I going to pay all this money, because it's an astronomical amount of money now, and then have to go pay more to see this offsite shit that's going to take me away from the main part?
Yeah, well, like for me, it's just like anytime people ask me are you going to come up to the city for XYZ? So whether it's a show or some MMA event or Comic-Con, whatever, I'm thinking about it from the price of just getting into New York, because I'm down in Trenton. So if I drive up, it's going to be. Drive. The drive isn't the problem, because it's like $20 in gas round trip. $20 to get in. Yeah. And then you got to pay the toll to get through the turnpike, and then you got to pay the toll to get through the tunnel, or if I decide to go up over GWB and then come back down. Regardless, however I decide I'm going in.
It's an expensive day.
It's an expensive day, and I haven't even gotten to the damn event yet.
Yeah, and parking.
Yeah,
paying for parking and everything else.
Or if I take the train, like when I started taking the train into the city for hardcore shows, it was $12 round trip. It's $35 now round trip, and that doesn't even include parking my car. My car used to be a quarter to park for the whole day, and now it's like $10 to park for the whole day. I mean, it's just insane. So for me to go to Comic-Con, it would have to be somebody so special that I couldn't turn it down. But going to Monster Mania, it's a 45-minute drive. It's free parking. It's there's food not too far away, no matter which direction you turn. And
or even there at the venue.
Even at the venue, there's food. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely love going to those things.
It's just a really all-inclusive, peaceful place, and you make friends. And they stay your friends. Like I've been making friends there for a while now, and we follow each other. We're always in communication, and we always look forward to getting back up and drinking some beers at the place and just having fun, man. And it's been awesome. Like I've met pretty much all of my heroes in the last 5 years. Like I have a very few left that I truly need to meet.
So give me one that's on that list. Who are you looking for that you haven't met yet?
So on that list, I'm gonna put Linda Blair at number 1.
Ooh, nice. That's a solid miss.
Yes. For some reason or another, it just hasn't lined up. There was another show she did, New Jersey HorrorCon, which I was slated to go to, but something happened and it just kind of fell through. But she's definitely numero uno on that list, man. It's got to happen, because Exorcist, not only do I love the film, but it's one of those cult classics, and I got plenty of things for her to sign, and I'm super excited about that when that day comes. But she's the heaviest, I think, because I've pretty much, you name them, I've met them. And it's not just Monster Mania. Like I've traveled to Texas. We've done HorrorCons in Connecticut and other places. But yeah, so I've gotten pretty much everybody. But she is definitely one that has eluded me.
So I was planning on going to Monster Mania this past March, because Sam Raimi was supposed to be there. And the reason I went to my first horror convention at Monster Mania many years ago was that it was one of the Evil Dead kind of reunions and panels. Yeah. And that shit was awesome. But Sam Raimi was not there for that one, and I wanted to go meet him. So that was like my impetus, and then they canceled it, because everything got canceled in March.
Yeah, so. Everything got canceled. Now, last October in Maryland, because Monster Mania does one show in Maryland a year, and Chris, I went with your brother to this. We met Bruce Campbell finally, and we took this awesome picture with Bruce, and it's one of my prized possessions. And that is one hysterical son of a bitch, bro.
That's what I've always heard, because he does. I know he's a regular with the conventions.
He's a national treasure.
Yes, 100%.
Because he was always at Comic-Con, but it was always expensive as shit. but he was there every year that I went. He was always there.
Now, the one thing with Bruce is that he only does 400 autographs a day.
Yep. If you're not there early enough, you're done.
So
that's why it's expensive.
Your brother and I were pissed because we literally brought a mother load of shit for him to sign. And then we were told, nope, just one item. So we went once every day.
Okay.
To get like 2 or 3 items signed at least. But like, that was heartbreaking, man, because I had a shitload of stuff for him to sign. But I get it. I mean, and you know, depending on who's there, like Robert Englund, that's a 6-hour wait, man.
Easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easy, 7 hours sometimes for him. That's why your brother and I spend the extra cash and get that VIP set up so we can skip lines.
You'll be there all day.
Yeah, we're not down with that, man.
Yeah.
we want the quick fix.
One of my favorite meets was Sid Haig.
Oh my God, I could tell you stories about him for days. Yeah,
so
one of the sweetest men alive. Are not alive anymore, but
who was alive? Yes.
My
100%.
God, what a sweetheart! Every single time, I got a picture of them at a party. Him and Bill Moseley, and Sid's eating cake in that picture, and it's just the coolest fucking thing. But every time we met him, he took the time with us. He would talk to us for 10 minutes. Like, it didn't matter how many hundreds of people were behind me. He, hey, what's up? If he recognized you, he was like, hey, what's up? What are you doing? Like, how's it going? Well, it was just that personal interaction that I loved about him, and he was just so sweet to everybody.
I mean, you have to imagine that he had been acting for so long, and he finally got that breakthrough by playing Captain Spaulding. Not that people didn't know who he was, but that was like his popular moment.
That was the mainstream moment.
Right. And from that point, he had to live it up. You know,
definitely propelled his career to cult icon status.
Yep.
And cemented it, because we'll be talking about Sid Haig until we're dead.
For sure. And anybody that
with my sons, you know.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that sees House of a Thousand Corpses or The Devil's Rejects will never be able to not think of that character.
Legendary is all I can say about him. He's fucking awesome.
You know, I was on the fence about bothering to even see House of a Thousand Corpses, because I thought to myself, what the fuck could Rob Zombie do that would make me interested in watching a movie? And then like some friends saw it and they were like, yo, this movie is fucking banging, you should go see it. I'm like, I really didn't want to give him any money, but I was like, fuck it, I'll go watch it. And I saw it in the theater and I never regretted it once. That movie was fucking awesome.
Same. You know, definitely that hesitation when it first came out. But man, am I glad I did, because look at all the legendary characters he spawned from that.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Otis Driftwood. Fucking one of the greatest ideas in the history of cinema. Like, and he got the right people to play these roles.
Well, because he was a fan.
Yeah.
He was a fan. He was a fan.
And he knew who he wanted, and he went out and got him. And that's what made it beautiful. And, you know, then Devil's Rejects came out, and that, to me, that blew House out of the water. You know, just in performance, intensity, and all the crazy shit that was going on there. But House was definitely what set it off for Rob, and I'm a big fan of his movies.
The only ones I can't get into are the Halloween movies, because I feel like he was trampling on my childhood.
You know what? I disagree.
I couldn't get into it. I tried. I gave it a shot.
I think him going into the childhood really just answered a lot of questions that we all had about Michael Myers, and kind of like his turn into what he became. And I really valued that. Like, obviously, to me, the first 2 Halloweens will never be beaten.
But top, of course,
it was a very good reimagining of that situation, and I love those films.
Yeah, I'm not on that tip. I tried to watch the first one that he put out, and I couldn't get more than about 45 minutes into it until I had to just turn it off. And you know, I'm hit or miss with Rob Zombie, but that was just a full miss for me. But I bet if I had never seen the originals and hadn't grown up with them, I'd probably love it. It's not that
That's
it was
fair.
It's just for me.
I could see that.
Like, Halloween is my number one horror movie of all time. Like, it ticks all the boxes that I need.
It's top 3 for me. Yeah.
So, watching somebody reimagine it was kind of like a knife in the heart.
At the same time, if anyone is gonna reimagine those films, I'm glad it was him.
Oh yeah, I mean it could have been way worse.
Because other directors
could have been much worse.
Hard.
Well, going back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, that remake was legitimate trash.
I agree.
It was awful. It was
so
awful.
when it comes to Texas Chainsaws, the first 2 are the best.
Yeah.
And nothing can
else.
touch those.
Yeah.
Nothing else is even.
No effort they make will ever fuck with those. I've tried. I've tried to give all of those remakes a chance. I've watched them time and again, and I could never feel the attachment, the sentimental attachment that I have to 1 and 2.
So here's a story. As a kid, the first Tobe Hooper movie I was introduced to was Funhouse. So it was, I was maybe 9 at the most, and my aunt, who's actually just a couple years older than me, was babysitting me for the day because it was Martin Luther King Day, and everybody else had work because this was before they gave people off for work for Martin Luther King Day. And I mean, I'm old, so it is what it is. And we watched it, and then literally I could not sleep for 3 nights. Looking back, that movie is not scary, but at the moment it was scary. So then it took me another 4 or 5 years to get the balls up to actually watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I mean, I was like, is this a fucking real movie? Because of the way that did this actually happen? Because it looks so believable in the way it's shot.
It might have been 16 millimeter.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, back then, and
the combination of that with the shaky camera.
Yep. I just felt like it was.
Great
really
camera
found
work there.
footage.
Absolutely, and the graininess is what gives it that chilling factor. Mm-hmm. Like you see those movies cleaned up now, and it's
not the same.
No,
huge
not at all.
disservice to them.
I want the dirtiness.
Yeah. So that's another thing about Monster Mania. Like they show films throughout. Like there's a room dedicated to films.
Yep.
And sometimes we'll get lucky and they'll show something in 35 millimeter or 16 millimeter. And then you get to feel that awesomeness again. And
that's
it's
cool.
Pretty dope. Same thing with Alamo Drafthouse. When Alamo Drafthouse does horror nights, 80s horror nights or whatever, they tend to get a lot of the 35 millimeter reels. And just reliving that in a theater is the best fucking thing, man.
There was a point that Alamo used to do that, like, what was it, every Tuesday night or something? They would do, like, horror movies on Tuesday nights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. I never went, but I remember seeing that and thinking one of these days.
That's the only theater I go to now, really. Unless Star Wars comes out and I have to watch it on, IMAX or whatever. But, like, aside from that, I really like going to Alamo just to see those old school movies and relive my childhood, So your brother and I go quite often, actually.
Yeah, I know.
So talking about movies that are shot in different format, did either of you go see The Hateful Eight in 70 millimeter?
I did not. I wish I could have.
I skipped work. I was just like, I'm not even coming to work. I was like, I'm calling out today. I'm not coming in. I had a sick day, and I just went to the theater. I actually watched it twice in a row on 70 millimeter. I'm going to tell you, that shit was beautiful. And it's a shame that we lost the composer this week. But also, that ties in the fact that, there's a cross between Hateful Eight and House of Thousand Corpses, and it's Walton Goggins.
Yes.
And I forgot that he was in either one of those movies until I saw him in Vice Principals on HBO or something like that. It's like a comedy show, and it's fucking hilarious. And I'm sitting there watching this guy, and I'm like, I know him for some goddamn reason. And then I like looked up his name, and I'm like, oh, he's in two of the movies that I absolutely love. That's why. And it's just I didn't tie his face to them outside of it.
I'll tell you a funny story about him. I'm always thrown off when I see him because I wasn't familiar with him until he was on Sons of Anarchy.
I was just gonna say that he nailed that role, man.
Oh, he nailed it. It was unreal,
fantastic.
Because I had heard of him, but I wasn't familiar with him. Because what was the other show that he was on? Oh God, I can't remember. He was on another show that a lot of people had told me about.
Justified or something like that?
Yes, Justified.
Yeah, Justified, yeah.
And I remember seeing now I didn't really watch Justified, but I saw enough commercials that had him in it that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I had heard of him, but I wasn't familiar with him.
He's so versatile.
Yeah, and now, I've seen him in plenty of stuff since then, and it's always he's fantastic.
I just went through Sons again, just because I wanted to show my fiance it.
Yeah.
And when he came on the screen for the first time, I smiled because I was like, "All right, that's right. Walter Goggins did this."
And he plays
he was
it so
amazing.
ridiculous. He plays it so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He should have got a lot of recognition for that. It's sad that he didn't. But he was amazing.
I was never a Sons of Anarchy fan. I honestly watched 3 episodes just to try, and I couldn't get past the 3rd episode, and I tried it twice, and I'm like, nope, this isn't for me. I don't get it.
Len, you're killing me today.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm the ruiner of everything, so it's fine.
I enjoyed it, but it was very hit or miss, especially later on. There was, I think it was the next to last season where they made all the episodes like an hour and a half. And it just felt like they were just dragging it out. They could have just cut it and left it alone. And then the last season, they just went kind of overboard with some of the symbolism and shit like that. And it's like it just tried to be a little too artsy, I guess. But it was decent.
I mean, I do know that Peg Bundy was on the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, her husband was the one who created it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And in a sneak move, a bunch of the music in the series she actually sings.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because she started as a backup singer.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
She can actually sing, man.
Well, she used to be a backup singer for Bette Midler.
For Bette Midler, okay.
So she started as a singer and then went into acting and then, got the role that everybody knows, which of course is Peg Bundy,
which is one of the greatest roles of all time.
Agreed.
And then
you know how hard you would get canceled for putting out that show these days?
Oh my God. Yeah.
I still watch it late night.
I don't blame you.
I forget what channel it's on, but like late night they'll put it on like a couple of episodes in a row, and I watch it, and I'm just like thinking to myself, like, nobody could do this now. Blazing Saddles.
A lot of things from the 80s that could never be done now.
All in the Family, Blazing Saddles, forget it.
Oh, all of that, yeah.
I have a faded No Ma'am shirt from like the late 90s that I refuse to wear anymore because
frame.
I'm just gonna leave it in my closet where it's safe and won't get me canceled.
Yeah,
because
you definitely get canceled.
If I wear that, like, imagine I wore that to a show or anywhere, it would be like, because these kids haven't seen the show, so they don't know.
Yeah, but the ones who have seen the show are like, yo!
Yes, right, exactly. Anytime I used to wear the shirt, everybody was always just like, yo, I love that shirt. And I'm like, yeah, it's fucking cool, right? And then now it's not cool anymore. And I mean, I get it. I get why people would be offended.
Of course.
But it's a TV reference, not my personal opinion at all.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Phil, let me know what your top 5 horror movies are.
The top 5. That's good. I'm gonna go at number 1.
It could be even franchise. Top 5 movie or franchise in horror.
So I'm gonna go with Texas Chainsaw at number 1. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
The others, I mean,
I love 2 a lot, but the rest of them piece of shit. Anyway. At number 2, Friday the 13th Part 2, because I like sack Jason versus hockey mask Jason.
Okay.
I just think that's
The
more
body count
intimidating.
continues.
You know, it's just way more intimidating
Right.
to see a guy running around with a fucking sack in his head and a pitchfork than a dude in a hockey mask.
Yeah, a lot of people.
I don't know.
A lot of people don't realize that the hockey mask didn't come until later.
Part 3.
Part 3, yeah. Part
Okay,
3.
Part 3. So I'm gonna go with that as number 2. Number 3. There's so many, but 3. Halloween. Halloween, absolutely.
I can get down with that.
Number 4. I'm gonna go, and this is a newer horror, but I'm gonna go with Devil's Rejects
Okay.
because it had that much of a profound effect on me when I saw that film.
We talked about it earlier. Solid movie. Solid fucking movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah,
And then at number 5,
So to round out the top 5 horror films of all time, I'd have to go with John Carpenter's The Thing, with my man Kurt Russell as R.J. McCready. There was an incredible cast in that film, and Kurt Russell just couldn't, he couldn't miss back in those days. Snake Plissken, another legendary Kurt Russell character. Definitely 2 of the tops all time for me, for sure. Like I said, the cast was great, and it was just magic. Special effects were top in the business back in the 80s, and they still hold up with anything that can be done special effects wise today. So definitely a film that I will never get tired of watching. Definitely my top 5 for sure. And after that, comes The Shining and Freddy and so many others. But The Thing, absolutely incredible and definitely worthy of the top 5.
So let me ask you something, because I noticed this a lot, and I wonder about it just because this is kind of the direction that I go in a little more, but I see that it's not as popular. I don't see as many people talking about Clive Barker
Okay.
I love
and Hellraiser as much as because you hear everybody
Top 10,
talk about
for sure.
Friday the 13th, you hear everybody talk about Nightmare. I don't hear as many people talk about Clive Barker. Did you ever meet Clive
but
Barker?
This is the kid Phil Vives talking to you
Well, yeah.
for top 5.
Yeah.
Hellraiser's in the top 10.
Okay.
Absolutely. I love Clive. I loved Nightbreed.
Yep.
Clive just had a cool way of making films, man. Really freaky, weird vision that he had in his films. But Hellraiser.
Did you ever see him at any of the conventions?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a Hellraiser, a beautiful Hellraiser. I don't even know what to call it, but it's like this beautiful, not photo. It's like
Like a print or something?
like some weird boxy print of it. And I got everyone from Hellraiser to sign that.
Oh, nice.
And Clive was the final piece, and I got him. And it's one of my prized possessions, actually.
So, at the behest of one of my old band members, on that bottom feeder record, there's actually a Pinhead quote embedded into a song. No tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering. So it's like
That's what I love about Pinhead. He had one-liners for days.
Yep.
way better
Absolutely.
one-liners than Freddy.
I agree.
Yes.
Like everybody talks about the Freddy
Freddy
one.
became a comedy act after part 2.
Yep.
That's true. That's definitely
Which
true.
is why I hold part 1 in such high regard, because number 1 was no comedy, none of that shit. It was scary, especially for a child, when I saw it as a child. But yeah, it became a comedy act after part 2, and I like Dream Warriors.
That's my one. I was
Great.
gonna say.
Yep.
So in my top 5 list, Dream Warriors is. I mean, I love 1, 2, and 3, but I love Dream Warriors because it still scared the shit out of me. But I also
was funny.
got some comedy out of it too.
And that's why I love Adam Green and the Hatchet series, because you get over-the-top gore, right? Serious butchery and killing and everything like that, but you get comedy like crazy, but it's not. But it works. It's very seldom that the combination work. And he hit a home run with those things, and that's why I'm such a big fan.
I mean, I remember when I watched Hatchet that I definitely had a bunch of laughs.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna go back and rewatch the series.
Watch the series. All 4. You got to watch all 4.
All right, I will watch all 4, and then I'll follow up with you. And
our girl Angela from Sleepaway Camp is in the last one.
Okay.
And dies one of the greatest deaths in the history of slasher films. So we'll have to talk about that at some point. But yeah, those are the top 5, guys.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I'll just run through my top 5 real quick just to have them out there. And number 1 is Halloween 1 and 2 together. Like, I see them as
I was going to say that too. 1 and 2 are the same, are one long film.
It's one long movie.
So I'm the same, yeah.
So 1 and 2 is my number 1. And then Friday the 13th Part 2, The Body Count Continues, is by far the better film of the 2. I do love the first one, but the second one is just
so do I love
so much better.
Yeah,
it's
so
more
much.
Brutal, like, and they actually like developed the Jason character enough for it, because like the first movie, it's his mother doing killing,
right?
So you know, now it's actually Jason, and
the payoff at the end when he comes through the window
good.
And you see him,
so good, so good.
Yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Classic.
The Conjuring.
Yeah, nice.
And then Nightmare on Elm Street, Part 3. Dream Warriors.
Solid choices, man. Solid choices.
So like those are if they're on TV, I cannot fucking turn them off.
Me neither.
And there's also a chance that I'm just going to pick them off of the movie rack and put them on, even if I'm not really paying attention to what's going on. Like I'm doing something else in the house and I want something playing. Those are
what I do every day.
That are like just the go-to ones.
Yeah, that's what I do every day.
I'll throw you a couple of crazy ones.
Hold on, I got one honorable mention.
Go ahead.
Psycho, the original Psycho.
That's fair.
Yep.
That's fair. My honorable mention would be The Shining.
Oh, so good. But did you watch Doctor Sleep? I just watched it last week.
I heard. I have not. Not because I don't want to. I just haven't had the opportunity. But
Please
I will.
do not watch this fucking movie.
Oh, really? It's that bad?
Please do not watch this fucking movie.
So then I won't.
I've heard conflicting reports. Some people have said it's terrible. Some people have actually said that it's good. Yeah.
The only good part of the movie is the end of the movie. Like, not even the end, but like the last 20 minutes of the movie is the only part that's enjoyable. Really? The rest of it is super confusing. I actually watched it 2 times, like almost in a row, because it was on HBO. So I watched it on the Eastern HBO, and then by the time it ended, it was coming back on the HBO West. So I just watched it again because I was like, what the fuck did I even watch?
Yeah. So just a couple quick more. Basket Case.
Classic.
Good one.
Frank, I love all those movies made by that guy. I mean, Frankenhooker, Street Trash.
Street Trash is on my list.
Brain Damage.
Great.
All those great films, man. Reanimators. I love the Reanimators.
Yep.
Yeah, it just goes on. I could talk about this shit forever, guys. But yeah.
See, for me, there's a couple of classics because I mentioned Night of the Demon before.
Oh, I love Night of the Demons, yeah.
Yeah, and I mentioned Sleepaway Camp because that was a classic.
That's top 10 for me, too.
I was always...
That's easily top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Just for ridiculousness, because I saw it in the theater, Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D.
Yeah.
Okay.
Silly and ridiculous.
Well, that Hellraiser
and there's some good kills in that movie, man.
Oh yeah, and having seen it in 3D just made it so much more ridiculous because it was totally, it was totally silly and made for 3D, but I loved it.
I would say 1 through 8 were the shit. As far as Friday Fridays.
Isn't 8 Jason Takes Manhattan?
It's a terrible movie.
But
awful.
But I don't know. There's some. I don't Ain't Hotter.
That ending doesn't even make any goddamn sense.
Yo, Jason in space? Come on.
That's what I'm saying. At least
that
it wasn't
shit's stupid.
At least it wasn't in fucking space.
That shit is
You know what
stupid.
I'm saying?
Yo, and Freddy vs. Jason was a piece of shit. I don't care. I don't care what
terrible.
people.
Terrible.
Sure, it was kind of funny, but god damn it, that was a terrible movie.
It was a letdown.
It was
a letdown. I do appreciate their fight scene and all that, but the rest of the movie was trash.
Yep.
And that sucked because it could have been one of the most legendary things ever.
Yep.
The first crossover in horror like that.
Yep.
They could have blown the roof off, and they just oh man.
Yeah. They made a mess of it. But
I don't
where am I? What? I don't even remember how many movies I said before.
You said 4, so 5, so you got one more left.
What did I say? I said
Sleepaway Camp was the last one.
Sleepaway Camp. I mentioned Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
You said
Night of the Demons.
Night of Demons. Yeah.
And I think you said Basket Case, didn't you?
No, I didn't say Basket
Okay.
Case. Street Trash,
Okay.
which is a classic.
Yeah.
So ridiculous. And, talking about horror conventions, back in the day, before the internet and all that shit, Street Trash was that movie that at horror conventions, dudes were selling that shit for like $100 on VHS. Because that was the only way you could find it. Yeah. Because your
Blu-ray now.
Your sci-fi and your Comic-Con, those type of conventions, they had that old Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie. Like that was the holy grail. And the horror conventions had Street Trash. Like you couldn't find it any other way. So people were putting big bucks up for the VHS.
When it finally came out on Blu-ray, I was so thrilled.
Yep.
I went and got it that day.
And then Hellraiser, I would say, I don't want to say the whole series because just like we were talking about.
The first 3.
Yeah, the first three. Because they just went so stupid with it. Just like what we were talking about with Jason in space, Hellraiser in space. Ridiculously stupid.
Yeah.
Ridiculously fucking stupid.
Okay, so I want to take this to the, our typical topic from music, where we talk about things that bummed you out. Horror movie that bummed you out. For me, it's Halloween 3. I cannot ever bring myself to watch that again.
So I hated it for a very, very long time. But in the last 10 years or so, I have grown to love that film because I don't treat it as a Halloween film.
Okay.
If you take away the Halloween name and let it stand on its own idea, and you find an appreciation for it, and I love the film now. I do. But
I could see that.
I 100% agree with what you're saying about it being a Halloween film.
Right. For me, it just. But they also had a great redemption in 4 and 5 back to back. Yeah. Like, actually, 4, 5, and 6 for me are almost as good as 1 and 2 because they did a lot of storytelling and blending between like the 3 movies that it felt like part of the franchise, and they made it make some sense.
I appreciated 4 and 5 very much, and Danielle Harris grew up to be one of the best scream queens. She's the heroine in Hatchet.
Yep.
And she was even in the Halloween remake.
Yep.
So, yeah, she's got a great horror resume to her, and I love her. But yeah, those movies were good. 6, I don't know if I can put 6 on the same level as 4 and 5.
Well, for me, it's the last one with Donald Pleasance.
That is true.
And like, Dr. Loomis is
one of the best characters ever.
Yeah, one of the most important characters of all time for me. So, like, knowing that that was his last stand, and the way that they set that movie up, because it's a character from 5 that just kind of blended over into 6, Paul Rudd's character, that it kept me involved and interested.
Did you like the 2018 Halloween?
Yes, I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was the greatest movie, but what I didn't like is that they basically wiped the slate.
Skipped over number 2.
Yep, they just wiped the slate clean.
I did not like that at all, but I enjoyed the film very much.
Yep.
And I'm looking forward to the next 2.
Same.
Yeah, I'm curious where they're going to go with the rest of it, but I'm with you that I didn't like that they erased all the rest of it.
I've met both the OG Michael Myers and the new guy, and the new guy is an old man, but he's fucking hard as hell, man. That guy is built. He's he's built for it. 100%.
Hey, he played. I know it's not a speaking role, but it's a physical role.
Yeah.
Like, you have to sell that role, and he does it. He did it very well.
And Nick Castle, OG, right, was on set and wore the mask in one scene.
Okay.
For the new Halloween. So he had him to pick his brain on and to look at those films and really master of what he did all those years ago.
I mean, you got to think about what it takes to play a non-speaking role of a maniacal killer and make it be believable and make sense on screen. You have to be such a good method actor to do that.
Oh, yeah.
And there's one guy that, this is a new film, that did that, and I was floored by it, and I love it, and it's Terrifier.
Okay, I'm going to have to look that one up. I haven't seen it.
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Watch Terrifier, man. It's fucked up, and it's great, and part 2, they're filming it now. And I can't wait for that. But it's a clown. He's a clown. Art the Clown.
That's what I remember seeing, the image of the clown, and wondering what the fuck is this.
This guy makes it look like fucking Disneyland.
Okay.
It's real fucked up.
Whoa.
I love it.
I mean, it is kind of
one of the
Disneyland,
greatest kills I've seen in a decade or more. And you'll get to that part, and you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, and you can reach back out to me, and we'll talk
I'll
about
probably
it.
just send you a message after I see it.
Terrifier is the new school brutal.
Okay.
Well, hold on. Since you brought it up, and I heard Len start to comment on it, what'd you think of that It movie?
So it was okay. You know, didn't blow me away.
So it's for me, it's better than the original take on the movie because the original one's just hokey as shit.
Well, it was
made for TV.
It was a TV movie, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
You know, I thought it was okay.
Tim Curry.
I thought it was
Tim Curry is one of the greatest actors ever, and I do love Tim Curry. But this was a better. It was. It just was.
I didn't like it at all. I thought it was so cartoony that it just like. I didn't see it for a long time. A lot of people talked about it and talked it up to me. And then when I finally watched it, I was like, this is what these people are talking about?
No,
like
it wasn't all that. It just wasn't. But comparing the two, if you
I'm not even comparing the two.
Yeah.
But because like Len said, it was a TV movie, so you're never going to get, it's a totally invalid comparison. But just on its own, when I finally saw it, I was just like, this is what everybody's talking about? I thought it was awful.
Well, what you got to imagine is that most of the people that watched it are not horror movie watchers.
Yeah.
So it has to be a movie that can be palatable to the masses, but still touch some of the pieces, like to keep people like me or Phil involved in it. It's like watching Nickelback or whatever, like one of these like shitty almost metal bands,
Right.
and people are like, yo, it's so fucking heavy, and you're like, not really, I've seen way heavier. Like this is bullshit, but whatever. It's not the worst thing I ever.
That's a great take on that. And that's exactly how it is. 100%.
So I didn't mind it, and I didn't mind It Part 2. Like, both of them are perfectly palatable movies for the masses, but it's not what I would be focused on for watching.
Yeah,
Right.
for true horror fans, it's definitely not, the bee's knees.
I didn't even see part 2.
You're not missing anything, honestly.
And listen, I can appreciate it. I'm not, like I said, I love the horror classics, but I'm not a diehard. Like, I'm not gonna shit on it if it's not gory enough or something. But
Right.
I just thought it was so cartoony that it was just silly. Like it looked like fucking Beetlejuice to me.
There are some
know what I
great
mean?
movies that are not gory at all. I mean, the first
Right.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Is
is not
really
really
not
gory at all.
Yeah.
It's mentally scary.
It's a mind fuck.
Well, listen, you know what was a great movie like that? Was Seven.
Yep, 7 is a great movie.
Seven is
Seven
a
is very
great
good.
movie because
Yeah.
you don't see the murders.
No.
Yep.
All those murders, you never see a single one of them as it happens. You just see the aftermath, but it's still scary as shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys saw it in the theaters, but I can
did.
tell you, I saw it in the theater, and when that motherfucker started coughing,
Yep.
that
was-
whole theater jumped.
Blows you away. Yeah.
That
yeah.
whole room jumped.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
joke.
One of the greatest lines of all time, though, in that movie. What's in the box?
God.
Yeah, I still use that all the time. If like somebody sends me something I don't know what it is, that's the first thing I'm thinking.
And the chemistry between Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt
Oh yeah.
Perfect.
was fucking perfect, man.
Well, Len, I'll tell you a funny story about the whole What's in the Box thing. When I used to work, when that movie came out, I was still working at Tower Records, and there was a guy on Broadway right up the block from the store that used to sell movie scripts.
Okay.
And I bought the script for Seven, and I still have it, and I looked through it because we used to joke around about that line all the time, me and Todd Warzone, and we were
Okay.
just, what's in the box? What's in the box? So I went into the script, and I looked to see how many times he says what's in the box. And in the script, he only says it once. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then I keep reading the script, and it's actually on the DVD, but it's only storyboarded. It turns out the script I have is for one of the alternate endings,
Okay.
where he only says it once, and then Morgan Freeman shoots Kevin Spacey, then points the gun at his own head, and Brad Pitt says to him, "What are you doing?" And he says, "I'm retiring," and then fades to black with a shot. Cuts to black with a shot. And it's an alternate ending that on the DVD it's storyboarded, but it was never actually filmed. But it turned out I bought the script that had the alternate ending, and I was like, oh shit, that's cool.
I got two scripts that I worship, and the first one is the Texas Chainsaw script.
The original?
I got
Nice.
that from Ed Neal, the hitchhiker.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the second one is I got the first Hatchet,
Nice.
and I got them both. They're both signed up, and reading it from that perspective is so much fun. Like, especially with the Texas Chainsaw one, where a lot of it is crossed out, things they didn't use and things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Just to have those kinds of notes is fucking awesome, dude. Like, it's one of my prized possessions.
It's
And
class-
I went to the house.
Oh, that's sick.
I went to the gas station and I went to the house. And the gas station now is a barbecue place.
Yeah, I heard they turned it.
Big horror themed for Texas Chainsaw. They sell a lot of cool shit there. But that was a bucket list that I was able to achieve. the lady and I, and we had a blast, man. And they're not near each other at all. Like Kingsland is where the house was moved to.
Okay, they moved the house.
And that's
okay.
2.5 hours away from Bastrop, where the gas station is.
Was the house originally near Bastrop?
It was closer. It was in Round Rock.
Okay.
Yeah, and it ended up being abandoned. The original owner just kind of let it go, and someone decided to restore it and move it over to, and it's a cafe. It's a cafe now.
That's
but
great.
it's exactly intact. Now, the cool story about this is that when I went there, the place was closed because it only opens a couple times a week, and there's an inn right next door. And Nikki and I went, and she started talking up the owner of the inn, or the sister of the owner of the inn, and they own both properties.
So she hooked you up?
So she's like, so she comes back out, and she kind of felt sorry for us that, I'm like, I'm from the Bronx, I'm really disappointed, And my girl's like, shut the fuck up, let me handle this, right? And she did, and the girl comes back out, and she's like, would you like your own personal tour of the house?
Oh, you'd be like, fuck yes, I do.
Fuck yes. So her and I went in there with her, and I was just like, click, 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 every inch of the house.
Wow.
And I have it on my phone, and that's one of the greatest days ever for me.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, yeah, good memories, man. I'm into this shit hardcore, and when I love something, I'll do everything I can to get everything from it or meet the people. Like, my favorite film ever is The Warriors.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Shoot.
Ever. Like, that's numero uno. And finally meeting those guys and his brother and I took a group photo with
that was the thing. Warriors. That was the thing out in Coney Island, right?
No, that was the first time we met them.
Okay.
But last year, they were out at Chiller
Oh,
Convention.
Right.
And your brother and I took this awesome photo of oh my God. I'll send that to you, Len, so you can check that out. But that's one of the greatest things ever.
So what I'm going to say is every time I hear grumblings that they're going to try and remake that movie,
I get upset.
It just tears me apart.
Because there is no about that. They've been talking about it for 30 years at this point.
Yeah, well, it better never fucking happen. Yeah. That movie is perfect as is. Oh, yeah. There is no fucking reason to redo that.
I had heard a rumor at one point that they were going to do it, but in L.A. with like L.A. gangs in the early 90s.
And that would have pissed me off.
Nah. Nope.
Because that story can never be replicated. Ever.
Nope.
Yeah.
Ever. And whoever does it, may they die 1,000 deaths. Because that's not cool with me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not down with the remakes most of the time anyway, but definitely not that one. But
I can't even think of one remake that was good.
4 or 5 years old, and I have never stopped watching that film. I have probably watched it well over 1,000 times. Not even kidding. And I know every line of the movie, and it better not ever be touched again.
Well, so hold on. Let's go back. Do we get everybody's disappointments?
I gave mine.
So what's yours, Gary?
Well, what do you guys think of Blair Witch?
Oh God.
Fuck.
The first one.
Fucking terrible.
You thought the first one was terrible? I didn't hate the first one.
The first one wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great at all.
I thought it was a cool concept.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best ever.
All right, I love the concept of the movie. I hated the actual movie. The only point it was scary was the last 10 seconds of the movie with the guy in the corner. That's the only thing that scared me the whole movie. Otherwise, it was just like really fucking boring.
I have to agree with that. The last couple of minutes of the film were great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything else leading up to that, and maybe the tent scene where the hands on the tent, maybe.
Yeah, that was good.
That was a legit fright, but everything else sucked.
Okay, I didn't mind the setup of the movie. Like the first 20 minutes of the movie was fine.
Yeah.
They just didn't deliver it well.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it, but it was a real disappointment just because it was one of those things that it was talked up so much
Yep.
that I was just like, okay, let's see what we got. And then, nah.
You got motion sickness. That's what you got.
Yeah.
Which,
So
listen, it could have been cool because I liked Cloverfield,
Cloverfield was fine.
but
Yeah, I like Cloverfield.
with this, it was just like, I don't know. But
So
that was one of them, but, you know,
Part 2.
I mean, to me,
Are you going to
well,
part two?
Part two, forget about it. Part 2 was an absolute steaming pile
oh
of
my
shit.
god.
That
Yeah.
that was a tax write-off for somebody.
So I thought that part 3 was actually better than the first one
I never even got to part.
I never
because
even
they
saw
actually
part two.
show the creature.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wait,
So
is this
finally,
the
there's a
thing
payoff.
in the woods or something like that?
No, it's Blair Witch. I forget. Blair Witch something. I forget the name of it.
Oh, I didn't even know that
And it negates the second movie.
completely.
Oh,
completely,
really?
like it
then,
never happened.
Then it might be worth watching it because anything
So-
that can get that movie out of my head would
I'm
be
gonna
nice.
say that I enjoyed that more than the original because of the payoff at the end.
Really?
You know, and it's a CGI'd whatever, but still, they showed something. You know, you see it for
mean-
like a split second, but you see it.
Right.
But as far as disappointments, I have the biggest disappointment ever for me wasn't a horror movie. It was Escape from LA.
Oh God!
Terrible
Oh,
movie.
no.
Because
Awful.
my second favorite movie of all time is Escape from New York.
Absolute classic. One of my favorite movies
And
of all time.
it put Pliskin is a god to me, and all of that. Kurt Russell is the man, especially back then. But when that came out, it was an absolute abomination.
No,
And I
that
was so upset at both Kurt and John Carpenter for
just even signing off on that.
yeah.
yeah, I agree because that's one of my favorite movies of all time as well. And Escape from LA, I was just like, what the fuck is this shit? It was just
Abomination. Abomination.
trash. But in general, as far as disappointments go, I would pretty much list most remakes,
Yeah.
especially of horror movies,
Oh, yeah.
as just duds. Because there's really
don't do it.
very
Just
few.
Don't do
there's
it. Don't do it.
there's very few remakes in general that are worth anything. But when it comes to horror movies, like, give me one horror. Well, besides, okay, the Rob Zombie did okay with Halloween, but it wasn't my favorite. And partly because you're such a fan of the old one, like we were talking about. But
it's not an offensive piece of shit like most of these remakes.
right, like Texas Chainsaw or
Freddy.
or
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
sequels
Freddy.
too.
Fucking
Yeah,
piece of shit.
that was. But even the sequels in general have gone down the toilet, like what we were talking about with Jason in space or Hellraiser in space. Or Hellraiser trying to, when Hellraiser recast Pinhead.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Like, just stop. Just don't even bother. I could count on one hand the number of decent horror remakes, really. Like when they remade I Spit on Your Grave, that wasn't terrible.
Meh.
But-
I
But the
didn't like
first
it.
one is the
But
first
it's
one's
not.
good.
It's never going to match the original.
No.
But all these other remakes, like Nightmare, like it's just so shitty.
It's crap. Total crap.
Yep. Oh,
right.
man.
This has been an amazing conversation, fellas.
Oh, listen, we could keep. If you want to
we
start
can.
talking about, listen, you talk about Escape from LA, like we could get into a whole other show talking about other horror movies. Especially you want to get into sci-fi movies, I'll talk all day.
See, I almost put Alien on my list of horror movies, but it's not technically a horror movie.
Yeah,
but it's
more
fucking
sci-fi
fright-
horror.
It is, yeah.
The first two Aliens were amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I just
absolutely.
said Alien, but Aliens is also amazing.
Yeah. Ripley was a bad chick, bro.
Yep.
She kicks some major ass, and I love her. I love that character for always. But first two are unbeatable, and then the rest were like whatever.
Whatever. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they kind of lost it. Although, you know, I didn't hate Prometheus.
It's all right.
Although it was weird.
That movie was so long.
It was really long. And then the last one. But like I said, we could do a whole other like, if you want to get me started on sci-fi, we'll be here all night.
See,
the way you guys are with horror, that's me with sci-fi. Like, I'll talk about Planet of the Apes for an hour and a half. I'll talk about 70s sci-fi, especially like 70s and 80s sci-fi. Like, we could be here all night.
Flash Gordon.
Oh, Flash Gordon is one of the greatest of all time.
Hell yeah.
If you want to get me to shut up, that's where you got to go with it, because I will not have anything to say. I haven't spent enough time watching it.
Just not down.
I'm just like, the closest I get to sci-fi is Star Wars, and that's not really sci-fi in my opinion.
I could do 4 hours on Star Wars, but that'll be how great the originals were and how shitty the prequels,
everything else is.
The prequels and the sequels were so bad that Disney is talking about possibly undoing the last 3 movies.
Really?
Yeah. Like, that rumor is flying around heavy right now that they might be finding a way to write it so that the last 3 movies get removed from canon. Like, you fucked up. You fucked up.
I don't think they'll do that though. They can't.
You know what?
It's too fresh.
I thought they couldn't do it, but the rumors are building. So I'm wondering if there's, fire with that smoke. And if there is, I'm all for it, because, listen, you ever love a pet? You ever love a pet and you have to put them down?
Of course.
That's how I felt about Rise of Skywalker.
I haven't watched it yet.
Like
I haven't watched it yet.
It wasn't terrible, but it was like, I'm glad.
It was the best of the 3.
Because The Last Jedi was an absolute steaming pile of shit, which is something that I never thought I would say about a Star Wars movie. But the Rise of Skywalker is like, it's okay, but you know what? I'm just glad you're finally being put out of your misery. Just let it end. Just finish it.
Of all the newer ones, I've only seen the first one that's canon, and then I saw Rogue One, and that's it. I haven't seen anything else that's come out since then.
Rogue One was good.
Rogue One was great.
Great. Absolutely.
The end is
just
brought tears to my eye.
Oh, it's amazing.
My boy Vader is shown the way he should have always been shown, as a badass mother, bro.
Yep. I can't see it, but I have a Vader tattoo on the inside of my arm because he's the goddamn man.
Yep.
Goddamn right. That's one of my favorite villains of all time, man.
He's the perfect fascist.
He is. Yeah. And
But yeah.
James Earl, that iconic voice will never.
Oh, it's perfect.
Will never be replaced.
Never.
So.
Never.
Oh, man.
Well, like I said, we could go
Forever.
That's a whole other 2 or 3 shows, But Len will probably fall asleep if I start doing that.
Nah, you might give me a reason to go out and actually rewatch some of these things that
I'll give you a watch list, bro, that'll have your head spinning. Just talking about.
You didn't like Revenge of the Sith?
I didn't even see it.
How could you not like when Vader turns?
Well,
when Anakin turns.
No, I did see that.
That to me is great.
Okay, so that movie sucked, and then it was good, and then it sucked, and then the end was just with Vader yelling no.
Yeah, the whole no.
That was just lost me.
I know they should not have not done that, but that duel with him and Obi-Wan at the end
is
the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
That's what everybody was waiting for. If you're a real fan, that's the moment you were waiting for.
that moment delivered 1,000 times because
Absolutely.
I'll never get tired of watching that duel.
But then they fucked it up with no.
Yo, took me right out of the movie.
It really did.
It's definitely a
That's,
downer.
that's the whole
Definitely a
problem.
downer.
But listen, you know, like I said, we could go on talking about remakes. Like the one remake that they actually did well that I loved was when they put Westworld on HBO. The first season of Westworld is fantastic. The next couple of seasons are a little weird, but it's one of those things where the original movie was cool, but the technology was different. And as the technology grew, it helped to make the story better. And that's the one.
Yo, shithole remake of all time is Dawn of the Dead.
I hated that movie.
It was so fucking bad.
I will never watch that movie again. Like, the original is
It's
the
perfect.
shit,
Yeah.
and George Romero is one of the greatest.
Nope.
But that's like Walking Dead to me, which also sucks.
You know what? I enjoyed The Walking Dead
At first.
to a point.
Yes. Now
After
it's just
season-
unwatchable.
Well, after
It's
season
completely
3,
away.
they lost me.
Yeah.
I still
with you.
watch it and I still like it, but I definitely don't enjoy it as much as I did. And it doesn't hold a candle to the comic.
And not only that, when they asked George Romero to write an episode, he was like, fuck no. That's a fucking soap opera with zombies. I'm not doing that shit. You know, and he was thoroughly against it. He hated it. He hated that series. So when the master of zombie says shit's on your product, you know it's crap.
So one of the greatest remakes is Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Because it is
Yep.
Evil Dead 1, just with a better budget.
Our
Yep.
budget. Yeah.
But also, one of the greatest sequels is Army of Darkness.
That is true.
100%. I love that
That
movie.
is true.
So, I mean, it can be done.
Actually, I remember having a Evil Dead night with Glenn. Glenn, his roommate Jay, and his wife, and Glenn's wife, and she'd never seen those.
Oh,
And
wow.
Wow.
Going through those again was so awesome, and she ended up loving them.
It's classics.
But
Yeah.
that's
Absolute classics.
that's great comedy written
Yeah.
with horror. Like,
Yeah.
and there's no human on the planet that could pull it off better
Not like
than Campbell. So, like, I've heard rumblings that they're gonna do another
They are.
movie in that thing, and
He's not going to be in it.
I'm not ready for it.
He's got a role in it, like as far as story and producing it,
Right.
just like he did with that other remake that came
Right.
out a few years ago, which was
It was
wasn't bad.
okay.
It was
What is it
alright.
called? Don't. What's that?
Evil Dead. Oh God, why am I skipping on this? I should know.
I don't remember it either.
But yeah, it wasn't. No, it was just Evil Dead. Evil Dead.
The 2013 remake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it lived up. Like, it was gory as hell and all that.
Yeah, it was okay.
It wasn't better. Hell no, it wasn't better.
Well, it's hard to be better than the.
No, you can't beat it. But it
Yeah.
wasn't comical either. It kind of went back to the original where it was trying to be serious.
Yeah.
But it, you know, at the end, Bruce Campbell comes out after the credits and says "groovy" in that film. You know, so it had its blessings. So I won't hate on it.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't actually hate that movie. I just forgot I watched it.
Yeah, it's good. It's not bad.
It was alright.
It's one of those remakes that I could stomach.
Yeah, I didn't hate it. I wasn't like nuts about it.
Yeah.
It was alright.
Yeah.
Which I guess for a remake is pretty good.
Oh yeah. So I think that my battery's gonna die soon,
Okay.
so I may get cut off. But I'm totally willing to go until then. But if I cut off, that's what happened.
What I was thinking of was Drag Me to Hell. Did you guys?
Oh yeah.
That
That was
terrible.
awful.
That was absolutely horrible. And that's what I thought you were talking about when you were talking about the.
Oh no.
I don't think I ever even saw Drag Me to Hell.
It's that Johnny Depp movie. It sucked. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm pretty sure I never saw it.
Yeah, I maybe got through a quarter of it, and I was like, I can't do this. And that was that.
Someone gave it to me, like on a burned DVD. I probably watched it once and then never again. But it's a Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna file that under B for basura.
Len, that goes to roadside video.
Roadside videos.
Direct
to roadside.
Man. I can go on for days with this shit, man. But yeah, man, I appreciate the conversation and letting me nerd out, because it's rare that I get to nerd out unless I'm at Monster Mania. So.
See, but that's why, like I was telling you before, I didn't necessarily want to just talk music. Like, I wanted to get into some other shit.
Oh yeah.
It's shit like this. It's like, you know what? Everybody can listen to you talk music on whatever interview you do, but like, how many times do you hear somebody that you like as a musician talking about some other shit?
Rare.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm much more interested in that. Like I'll, like, people know me as a musician, but like I would be totally fine with doing interviews talking about sci-fi movies or fucking toys or something.
Well, that's what I appreciate about Slash and Kirk Hammett. They're huge horror guys.
Oh yeah. And
Kirk had his own fest.
Oh yeah.
I know. I was talking to somebody about that.
I don't know why I didn't fly out to California for that, but if he ever does it again, I will.
Yeah, he's done it in a few places, because he did it. He did it twice. He did it twice. Yeah, he did it in Canada at one point.
Yeah, and both of them were in California, but he had musical bands play too.
Oh, no, you know what it was?
Exodus played. Sugar played.
He does a whole museum thing.
Oh yeah,
where he'll do the museum exhibit. You know about this, Len?
No, nothing.
Kirk Hammett has a whole huge horror collection, and he will go and take it out to exhibit at museums.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got serious memorabilia.
Yeah, he's got like movie used costumes.
Yeah. So wait, can we talk about the fact that he's got also serious money? So if any of us had serious money, we probably would also have the same shit.
That is correct.
Oh well, yeah, that's totally true.
Makes it easy.
But because he's got all that money, he's got a serious collection. It's very impressive, actually.
I support it.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool that he is actually taking it out instead of just letting it collect dust in his crib.
Yeah.
Truth.
And I'm looking forward to the day that Slash directs a horror film, because he's been working on that for a while. Trying to get something going with that.
Yeah, I've heard about that for years.
Yeah, and he's got a rich education as well, so like I'd love to see what he can come out with.
I mean, it would also be cool if Kirk Hammett would practice, but,
Leave Kirk alone, bro.
That dude is so whack. Yo, his solos sound like somebody falling down a flight of stairs and catching themselves on the last step.
I'm starting to hear static in my my headphones. I think it's time to go.
Thanks for joining the Upgrade Podcast. Been Gary Muttley, Len Carmichael. Just want to make sure you go and check out our links over at theupgradepodcast.net. Take care.